Good evening. My name is Chris Stuckey, and this is my oral presentation for PAD4391, the Emergency Management class. The topic that I've chosen to discuss tonight is going to be non-governmental organizations and their role in disasters. Now, to start off, non-governmental organizations is also abbreviated as NGOs, just for your information, because I'll be referring to it as NGOs quite frequently. To get started, I wanted to define what a non-governmental organization is. The definition that I found was that it is a legally constituted organization created by natural or legal persons that operates independently from any form of government. The term originated from the United Nations and is normally used to refer to organizations that are not a part of the government and are not conventional for profit business. In the cases in which NGOs are funded totally or partially by governments, the NGO maintains its non-governmental status by excluding government representatives from membership in the organization. The term is usually applied only to organizations that pursue wide social aims that have political aspects but are not openly political organizations such as political parties. Some interesting facts, first off, about NGOs or non-governmental organizations. The number of NGOs operating in the United States is estimated at 40,000. So that shows you that there is a ton of NGOs in the United States. Outside the United States, or international numbers are even higher. One example that I found was Russia had over 277,000 organizations. And even more than that, India is estimated to have around 3.3 million NGOs. So as you can tell, there are a ton of them. Now that we know what a non-governmental organization is, and some interesting facts about them, I wanted to go ahead and name a few organizations that you might be familiar with, as well as what their purpose is during these disasters. Can you think of any off the top of your head? If not, let me go ahead and fill you in with four. I have four examples. The first is a huge one that from the recent video we watched in the class kind of really helps us understand the importance of NGOs. And that first organization I want to talk about is the American Red Cross. The American Red Cross is required by a congressional chapter to undertake disaster relief activities to ease the suffering caused by a disaster. Emergency assistance includes fixed or mobile feeding stations, shelters, cleaning supplies, comfort kits, first aid, blood and blood products, food, clothing, emergency transportation, rent, home repairs, household items, and medical supplies. Additional assistance for long-term recovery may be provided when other relief assistance and or personnel resources are not adequate for meeting disaster needs. The American Red Cross provides referrals to the government and other agencies providing disaster assistance. Also, what's really good about the American Red Cross is when they are in areas that are not so friendly to the United States, where we can't get our government or military or anything in the areas, they are actually respected by pretty much everyone because they know the American Red Cross is there to help. So when Americans can't necessarily get into certain areas, the American Red Cross is able to help with the disaster relief. A few other ones I want to talk about. There's two of them that deal with churches. Churches are a huge, positive influence on disaster victims because, again, you think of a church, you think of a place of sanctuary, of help. The two examples I had are Brethren Disaster Ministries, which they provide volunteers to clean up debris and to repair or rebuild homes for disaster survivors who lack sufficient resources to hire a contractor or other paid labor. Working with long-term recovery committees, the volunteers stay until the work is done. The presence of these volunteers' work teams helps to ease the trauma that is felt in the aftermath of the disaster. The second organization I want to talk about was the Adventist Community Service, or ACS. It receives, processes, and distributes clothing, bedding, and food products in major disasters. The agency brings in mobile distribution units filled with bedding and packaged clothing that is pre-sorted according to size, age, and gender. They also provide emergency food and counseling and participants in the Cooperative Disaster Child Care Program. So again, they are a really big help, and it's another church organization. One that you might not think of that I found was a very interesting organization was the American Radio Relay League. They are a national volunteer organization of licensed radio amateurs in the United States. The ARRL sponsored amateur radio emergency services provide volunteer radio communications services to federal, state, county, and local governments, as well as to voluntary agencies. Members volunteer not only their services but also their primary owned radio communication equipment. So obviously, if communications go down, there's no way for us to communicate. These individuals have their own equipment, their own towers, their own radios that they're able to communicate with one another so that information can get transmitted from that community that has been hit with a disaster to the government for more needs or more help. There are many others that are key when disaster strikes. These organizations and communities that help each other are so important in the help of the people that are affected by the disaster. The main resources are that, unlike the local or federal government, the organizations don't have so much red tape or bureaucratic hoops that they have to jump through or procedures that they have to go through just to get help for those in need. These organizations are boots on the ground, per se. They're the ones that know the communities the best. They're the ones that know the needs. They're the ones that can help assess the damage and then relay that to the government when they actually come in. Another good thing about these organizations are they're the ones that are usually first on scene. There might be first responders that are there to help, but these communities and these organizations will go ahead and have the search and rescue organized to help people that are in need of help, as well as to assist as much as they can. These organizations are huge in the disaster relief, and it is a big help to have them helping when disaster strikes. Hopefully that answers the questions, and thanks for your time, and I will talk to you soon.